Government reveals plans to revamp the Environmental Coordinating Unit. The Agriculture Ministry spreads tangible cheer to 9 charitable institutions, and Grand Bay's elders received special holiday attention this past weekend. Thanks for joining us on another edition of National Focus. I'm Kimani
And I'm Jarna Hector. Stay with us for details of the headline stories and others after the break.
If you can believe this.
Come by my house and let me show you some movies.
Why can't you believe this? Some mothers don't believe their own children when they say they've been sexually abused, and they don't report it. Remember, if anyone asks to see or touch their private parts, touches them inappropriately, shows them or forces them to touch one's private parts, has sex with them, shows them pornographic material, or deliberately lets them hear or see the act of sex, then it is sexual abuse. Believe your child and report the sexual abuse. For more information about child abuse, contact these agencies. This message brought to you by UNICEF and this station.
Welcome back. The island's Minister for the Environment and Natural Resources, Honorable Kenneth Darrow, revealed to the nation last week that plans exist to revamp the Environmental Coordinating Unit. The hope is that the upgraded body will serve as an implementing and monitoring agent for government's strategic program for climate resilience. Government's strategic program for climate resilience is a plan specific to Dominica, which serves as a blueprint to deal with climate change on a national level. Part of this revamping plan, which has been under discussion for some time, involves utilizing local expertise.
Ever since taking up the mantle as the Minister of Environment, I have liaised very closely with the Ministry and Minister of Education and Human Resource Management. And we have quite a few of our young folks in regional and international institutions pursuing bachelor's and master's in environmental science. So we think that when these people return, I hope they choose to return. A lot of our people go out there and they think of greener pastures out there, well, quote unquote greener pastures out there. But we're hoping that when these people return, and I think that was the vision, that these people will be utilized effectively.
Honorable Darrow gave further insight into the move.
And we're talking about comprehensive environmental legislation, somewhere in the region of almost 400 pages of new environmental legislation that pretty soon we should see tabled at Parliament.
According to the Permanent Secretary in that ministry, Dr. Eisenhower Douglas, the upgrade is being regarded as a stimulating and productive undertaking.
In the ministry, we are very excited about it and believe that it will bring a lot of benefits to our country. And of course, Dominican citizens will have the priority in terms of employment opportunities, as I mentioned, in terms of the unit. But we have to observe the rules, the procurement rules, to ensure those positions are advertised and persons have to apply and that kind of thing. But this is where we are. So thank you very much for coming, and we look forward to hearing from us and continuing the dialogue early in the new year.
Those statements were made at a press conference to discuss the scope and funding of government's strategic program for climate resilience.
In other news, 9 charitable institutions were recipients of the Agriculture Ministry's benevolence just 5 days before Christmas. The nation's farmers partnered with the ministry to make large quantities of fruits, vegetables, ground provisions, and meat available to the selected organizations. Last Friday, the Grotto Home for the Homeless, the Dominica Infirmary, the Love One Teach One Foundation, the Princess Margaret Hospital, and Regional Fitzroy Armour Hospitals, the Operation Youth Quick, Chances, and the Grange Home for the Aged were those thankful recipients. Several van loads of fresh, colorful produce exchanged hands on that day, all in the spirit of brotherly love.
We are here today to do exactly what God asked us to do. And that is, we have to live as brothers and sisters. We have to love each other. We have to reach out to each other in good times and in bad times.
Honorable Walter made public mention of the farmers who made those donations possible.
All of us would like to thank the farmers of this country, because if it were not for the farmers, these produce would not have been made available to you at the Grotto home. So we have to put our hands together and give them a round of applause.
At the Love One Teach One Foundation, an organization which is known for providing meals for youth, Honorable Walter said he was glad to be a part of looking after young people, a cause which he believes is noble.
My heart goes out to children. You know why? Because children are vulnerable. And if we do not take care of them, our future will be hampered one way or the other. Okay? Therefore, it is incumbent on every single one of us to ensure that we take care of those children who are hungry, we take care of those children who are naked, take care of those children who are homeless, take care of those children who lack love. So, in total, we have to take care of God's children. And it's exactly what you are doing.
After the Princess Margaret Hospital, the next stop was the Operation Youth Quick, where the young residents were told what their country requires of them.
We want you all to live longer. We want you all to be smart children. We want you all to go to school and learn well. Get your qualifications. Get a job. And be men and women of tomorrow. Your life is very important. And your life has not come to a halt or to a stop. Your future, you have a long future ahead of you, my friends. All what you have to do is take advice. That's all you have to do. Your mentors, your superiors, your parents, your counselors, take advice.
Naturally, all of those non-profit organizations know the value of charitable work and were very thankful.
On behalf of the residents, the staff, and the board of Community Hostels Incorporated, but more specifically the Grotto Home. And I want to say thank you to the Ministry of Agriculture for remembering us. And I want to ask God to bless our farmers. We hear that agriculture is disappearing. But if agriculture is disappearing and we can get all this, better it just disappears. Thank God for the farmers. May God bless them. Let them continue to produce and be successful. And let them continue to help those who are in need in Dominica. Once again, thank you.
On behalf of all of us here, I would like to say heartfelt thanks to the Ministry of Agriculture as well as the Minister for always thinking of us at Christmas. We know and we are aware that Christmas is a time of giving. We want to thank all the farmers who took time off to remove, extract, to send to the Division of Agriculture so that they could contribute to us here at the Dominica Infirmary.
The gift giving continued on to the Grange Home for the Aged and the Reginald Fitzroy Armour Hospital in Portsmouth and the Marigot Hospital. Honorable Walter made sure to wish the residents of the various care centers a Merry Christmas full of thoughts of the reason for the season.
In more news, it was a grand time of fun and socialization for the senior citizens of the Grand Bay constituency last Sunday. Through the efforts of the parliamentary representative, Honorable Justina Charles, the St. Vincent de Paul Society, and the St. Jerome's Ministry, the elderly were brought together to share in a Christmas lunch. Honorable Charles shared with those present greetings from the Honorable Prime Minister and encouraged them to have fun during the event.
It is my pleasure as parliamentary representative to be here with you today to enjoy today. I also want to extend greeting on behalf of the Honorable Prime Minister, who is very much aware of the activity and who contributed to make sure that the people can have fun and can enjoy yourself.
The elderly were treated to an assortment of dishes. They toasted to health, long life, peace and happiness for 2014. Honorable Charles shared her joy for being able to bring the elderly together in such a setting.
I am really excited about it, and I am happy to be associated with it and to be able to finance the lunch, and I think that is one way of just giving back to our seniors after having worked so hard, and they are usually at home and probably lonely, so it's a little time for them to socialize. So I just thought it would have been a nice thing to bring them together, let them enjoy a meal for Christmas, let them socialize, and so, at the end of it, they can say, they enjoyed Christmas just like everybody else.
Those who were present said they were happy to be thought of in such a way and were thankful for the opportunity to socialize and enjoy Christmas.
Moka senti mo feel happy, avec tout le monde happy. Good luck, good luck. Thank you, Jesus. I thanking you for my day-to-day and all of us to give us a good strength and a good help and to help them help everybody. I don't see no way I will more good than that, only in heaven.
I feel good. Yes.
You think it's a good effort?
Yes, my good. Yeah. You can go through all that, all the time.
Oh, today is a grand occasion, very grand, and I am always happy to be there with the seniors because I am a senior too. And it gives me great pleasure when they come together to enjoy themselves, so I'm very happy and excited about it.
According to Honorable Charles, the day turned out to be a grand success. The elderly ate, danced and shared jokes. The few who were not able to make it to the event were served at home.
We're toasting for the best of everything for each and every one of us here this afternoon. And most of all, a blessed Christmas, and don't forget Christ in our lives. Hip, hip, hip. Hip, hip, hip.
The Strategic Program for Climate Resilience, the SPCR, is believed to directly address Dominica's weaknesses in dealing with climate change. The plan, coming out of the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment, was presented to the World Bank and its partner, the Climate Investment Fund, at a meeting in Washington in May last year, where it was approved for implementation and funding. According to Dominica's Environment Minister, Honorable Kenneth Daru, the projects listed as necessary under the SPCR include a number of infrastructural upgrades. There are 13 projects identified to receive attention, including interior roads, storm drains, a seismic monitoring network, and the previously mentioned spatial data management system. Honorable Daru explained why those types of projects are important.
What we started to do was to identify priority areas that are being affected by climate change, and infrastructure would be the #1 on the list, because as I said, we have to appreciate that a lot of our roads are coastal, and even those that are inland would be passing alongside the mountain tops and posts with a number of with disaster risks and the risk for land slippage. So climate proofing infrastructure, yes, forms an essential part. And if we understand what the whole issue of climate change is, yes, we have to do stuff to prevent, which we had some money set aside for capacity building, food security, etc., because we have to plan for the future. But also mitigation also plays an important part. Because if we don't invest in what we already have, I think the experts say that for every dollar spent in mitigation, preventing, you save $10 down the road.
He stated further that it is common for unforeseen restoration works to receive priority attention from government.
I'm sure you can appreciate, for example, in the case of the cliff stabilization, this is going to prevent land slippage for many years. and stuff, and the construction of the city fence properly along the Dubic Road. This is going to prevent erosion of the coastal road, and of course save us money down the road. So this is the whole idea behind it. And as I said, climate proofing infrastructure is one of the most important parts of one of the 7 priority areas that we mentioned, together with a few others. I think food security, water management, among others.
The development of the SPCR was affected by a series of consultations with national stakeholders, including civil society, NGOs, private sector, and government agencies.
There was a private sector working group set up, and that included all the major private sector entities, DIC, DHTA, DMA, etc. And all were part of the consultative process in terms of inputting the private sector concerns into the document. So that document reflects and captures the private sector interest in the context of climate change, how it impacts the businesses and the recommendations moving forward. So that's well, the input of the private sector is well represented. In terms of subsequent to that, there were specific set-aside funds for the private sector that were published. The process by which those would be accessed on a competitive basis, where concept notes were developed and submitted. That process, the final development of that particular program was in June of last year.
The initial estimation to apply the strategy is quoted as EC $94.8 million, with $5 million being made immediately available to set up a project management unit to run the affairs. Dominica's SPCR is designed to complement regional activities designed to minimize the impact of climate change in the Eastern Caribbean. According to the Climate Investment Fund, SPCR interventions will be sustained in the long term by ensuring that climate change planning and management becomes an integral part of the national development planning process under Dominica's Growth and Social Protection Strategy and the Low Carbon Climate Resilient Development Strategy, the latter strategy having been formulated under the SPCR planning process.
And Jarna, that's an important discussion that's going on globally, right? Talking about climate change and, what we can do as people to assist, in the efforts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The SPCR might sound a little bit intimidating, but what it is basically a plan, a strategy for how Dominica is going to deal with climate change. It targets various sectors like food safety and, importantly, as the minister said, infrastructural upgrades, because when it rains, a lot of things go wrong in Dominica, and that has to do with climate change as well.
Right. Yeah, so if we were to basically say what climate change is, first of all, in layman terms, basically it has to do with the change in weather patterns, basically. How when you expect it to be drought, it's raining, and even in certain countries where you would expect certain weather patterns, certain weather conditions, it's changing. It's not how it used to be before.
Right.
Yeah.
So while government has outlined a plan to deal with that, there are things that we can do as individuals that can complement that strategy.
That's true. And probably you can give us one of those things that we can do.
My favorite is reducing our carbon footprint. That simply has to do with using less resources and recycling. It has to do with turning off the light when you're not using it, turning off the tap when you're not using it. Right. It has to do with recycling things. You can use something that you're done with to do something else.
Right.
It has to do with pollution, keeping that, eliminating that on a whole. And especially for a country that is really focused on being green, I feel like it should be very easy for us here to reduce our carbon footprint.
Yeah, one of the things that they talk about is using items that's biodegradable.
Right.
Even with the use of all the plastic bags and, when we go shopping, all those things are detrimental to the environment. Yeah. And I believe one of the things that people really need to do is educate themselves about it, because it's something that's being spoken about globally, and even we can play our part. We may think that we live in a small country, but it takes every one of us to play our part to make sure that we save the environment and save the earth for future generations.
Absolutely.
And finally, according to Honorable Justina Charles, there is something good going on in Grand Bay as soon 3 more senior citizens will become centenarians. GIS News caught up with one of them at the lunch activity for senior citizens held in Grand Bay last weekend. Hayden Merrifield of Grand Bay will celebrate 100 years in January 2014. He says he is in good health and does not get sick.
I don't get sick.
You doesn't get sick?
No.
Well, that's very good.
So I'm always upright.
He had great reviews for the lunch activity and the effort of Honorable Justina Charles in bringing the senior citizens together.
Plus, dot bitten the carpet. Today, Tuesday. No can no hold no la. Then no can enjoy no. Up first class. So, aujourd'hui, Mahadia yeah. Last minute, every Tuesday. Look at all right. Majority all right.
Okay.
Hayden Merrifield has been a member of the St. Vincent de Paul Society for a number of years. 2 more citizens will soon celebrate 100, one on December 25, 2013, and the other in May 2014. GIS will bring you more on these developments as they unfold. And that's news. Stay tuned for a tip on food safety when dining out.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
With all of these festive meals that you will be enjoying this season, it's always necessary to pay attention to what you eat. There are foods known as high-risk foods for eating out.
Food poisoning bacteria can grow and multiply on some of these foods more easily than others. Meat, dairy, eggs, seafood, and prepared salads are a few of those high-risk foods. When eating out, pay special attention to how these high-risk foods are prepared, served, and cooked.
And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm.
Friend us on our Facebook page and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Jarna Hector.
And I'm Kimani. Thank you so much for watching.